California, here I come.
Table of contents,
Right back
California.
where I started from.
All about California,
Where flowers
with visiting and touring information,
in the sun.
geography,
Each morning
history,
that dawning burns
attractions,
again everything
and other
that
points of
starts
interest.
Dr. Sidney Soclof. Dr. Sidney 22 at gmail.com. 2022. Narration by Dr. Sidney Soclof.
Zoe Phonemes.
And Nathan Coltove. For a more complete discussion of YouTube navigation, please go to this video using the link here. Chapter 3. Introduction to California.
This is the flag of California. This is the Great Seal of the state of California.
The seal features the Greek goddess Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. A California grizzly bear, the official state animal, feeding on grapevines, representing California's wine production. A sheaf of grain, representing agriculture. A mine, representing the California gold rush and the mining industry. And sailing ships, representing the state's economic buoy.
The phrase Eureka, meaning I have found it, is the California state motto.
The geography is not an exact view from any one place in California. Although the waters were described in 1849 as being of the Sacramento and the mountains in the background as being the snow-clad peaks of the Sierra Nevada. California, more than any other part of the Union, is a country by itself. And San Francisco a capital. James Bryce. The American Commonwealth. 1901. Chapter 4. Where is California? California is on the west coast of the United States along the Pacific Ocean. It borders Oregon to the north, and the Mexican state of Baja California Norte to the south. Nevada is to the east and Arizona is to the southeast.
These are the 10 most populous states in the U.S., 2022. California is the most populous U.S. state. Note that half of the most populous states are now in the south or west.
In the period from 1900 to 1965, the population grew from fewer than 1 million, becoming the most populous state in the Union. The 4 largest cities in California are Los Angeles, San Diego, San Jose, and San Francisco.
The state capital is Sacramento. The largest population concentration in the state is in Southern California.
With an area of 160,000 square miles, 414,000 square kilometers, it is the 3rd largest state in the United States in size, after Alaska and Texas. If it were a country, California would be the 59th largest in the world, between Iraq and Paraguay. California at 414,000 square kilometers in area is close to twice the area of the UK at 245,000 square kilometers.
Most of the population in California is in the coastal regions of Southern California and the San Francisco Bay Area. Smaller concentrations are in the Central Valley around Sacramento and Fresno.
This shows the population density of Southern California. There is an almost continuous urban area from the Mexican border, just south of San Diego through Los Angeles to Ventura and Santa Barbara, with just a few gaps in between.
This shows the population density of Northern California. The greatest concentration is in the San Francisco Bay Area. There are smaller concentrations in the Sacramento area and down through the Central Valley to Bakersfield.
This is a relief map of California showing the coastal and Sierra Nevada mountain ranges, and the large and almost flat Central Valley in between.
Here are the counties of Southern California. In the middle of the state lies the California Central Valley. bounded by the coastal mountain ranges in the west, the Sierra Nevada to the east, the Cascade Range in the north, and the Tehachapi Mountains in the south.
The Central Valley is California's agricultural heartland and grows approximately one-third of the nation's food.
The Central Valley is divided in two by the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta near the San Francisco Bay Area.
The northern portion of the Central Valley is called the Sacramento Valley and serves as the watershed of the Sacramento River. The southern portion of the Central Valley is the San Joaquin Valley and is the watershed for the San Joaquin River. Both areas derive their names from the rivers that transit them.
The Sierra Nevada, Spanish for Snowy Range, includes the highest peak in the contiguous 48 states. Mount Whitney, at 14,505 feet, 4,421 meters.
The range embraces Yosemite Valley, famous for its glacially carved domes,
and Sequoia National Park, home to the giant sequoia trees, the largest living organisms on Earth. These are the giant sequoia, sequoiadendron, trees in the giant forest.
In the south is a large inland salt lake, the Salton Sea. The Salton Sea is an inland saline lake, occupying the lowest elevations of the Salton Sink.
This is part of the larger Colorado Desert in Southern California north of the Imperial Valley.
The Salton Sea covers a surface area of approximately 376 square miles, 974 square kilometers, and is the largest lake in California. The Sierra Nevada also includes the deep freshwater lake, Lake Tahoe, the largest lake in the state by volume.
Deserts in California make up about 25% of the total surface area. The South Central Desert is called the Mojave Desert.
The Mojave Desert covers much of Southern California and extends into Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. Northeast of the Mojave Desert is the Death Valley. The distance from the lowest point of Death Valley to the peak of Mount Whitney is less than 200 miles, 322 kilometers.
Indeed, almost all of southeastern California is an arid, hot desert, with routine extreme high temperatures during the summer.
Death Valley contains the lowest and hottest point in North America, Badwater Flat. Chapter 5. Earthquakes. California is famous for earthquakes due to several faults, in particular the San Andreas Fault. It is also vulnerable to tsunamis, floods, droughts, Santa Ana winds, wildfires, and landslides on steep terrain, and has several volcanoes. Most earthquakes in the U.S. have been along the west coast near the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the Pacific Ocean and North American plates are rubbing against each other.
A good prediction is that there will be an earthquake on the day you get to California. An earthquake, but how do you know?
We see that most of the earthquakes in the United States are along the Pacific coast, principally in California and Alaska. The San Andreas Fault is always active, and there are earthquakes of various magnitudes near this fault every day. Most of these earthquakes are of a small magnitude such that they are not felt by people. Here is a detail of the region near Los Angeles. Here is a detail of the region near San Francisco.
Here is the earthquake activity in Southern California for the week of May 8 to 14, 2008. We see earthquakes of various magnitudes every day, most of which are far too small to be noticed.
This is the weekly seismic record for Southern California for 2007 and 2008. We see that there are typically more than 20 earthquakes every week, or about 3 per day.
This is the daily seismic record for the period May 1st through May 14th of 2008.
The Earth's crust is not continuous but is broken into several pieces or plates. These pieces or plates of the Earth's crust are called tectonic plates.
This shows the tectonic plates of the Earth's crust. This shows the various tectonic plates of the Earth. They are in a variety of sizes and shapes. The plates are moving slowly with respect to each other, typically a few centimeters per year. All around the Pacific Ocean where the Big Pacific Plate meets surrounding plates, there is an area of strong earthquake and volcanic activity called the Ring of Fire.
This arc around the Pacific Rim is called the Ring of Fire because of the concentration of volcanic and seismic activity.
The Pacific Plate is moving in a northwest direction underneath the North American Plate at a rate of about 2 inches, or 5 centimeters, per year.
In the middle section of the San Andreas Fault, the two plates are continuously sliding past each other. But in the other sections, the adjacent plates are locked together until the stress builds up enough.
Then there is a sudden breaking loose and a movement of the plates. This produces ground vibrations and movements known as earthquakes.
Chapter 6. Geography of California. This is Southern California showing 3 of the principal mountain ranges. The Coast Range and the Sierra Nevada running mostly north and south. And the Tehachapi Range between these two, running mostly east and west. Again, is Southern California showing the mountain ranges and the Mojave Desert just northeast of Los Angeles.
Here again is Southern California showing the mountain ranges in the Cayuga Mountains just east of San Diego. The San Joaquin Valley is in the southern part of the Central Valley and is bounded on the south by the Tehachapi Range. The Imperial Valley is in Imperial County between the Cayuga Mountains and the Colorado River and the Arizona border.
This is the Southern California coastal region from Santa Barbara down to San Diego and the border with Mexico.
This is the Southern California coastal region from Los Angeles down to San Diego and the border with Mexico.
Just to the north of Los Angeles is the San Gabriel Mountain Range. And further east are the San Bernardino Mountains. The San Gabriel Valley is mostly a suburban area just to the east of Los Angeles. Orange County is also mostly a suburban area south of Los Angeles. Chapter 7. The History of California.
Spain had laid claim to the entire Pacific coast.
The first European to explore the California coast was Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, a Portuguese navigator sailing for the Spanish crown in 1542. In June 1542, Cabrillo led an expedition in 2 ships from the west coast of what is now Mexico. He landed on September 28 at San Diego Bay, claiming what he thought was the island of California for Spain.
Where does the name California come from?
The Spanish explorers originally thought that California was an island, and the name California comes from a mythical Spanish island ruled by a queen called Califia.
That was featured in a Spanish romance novel Las Surgas de Esplandian, written by Garcia Ordóñez de Montalvo in 1510.
It is known that to the right of the Indies, there exists an island called California very near the terrestrial paradise. Their island was the most impregnable in the world with its cliffs and headlands and rocky coasts. Their weapons were all of gold.
And there ruled over that island of California a queen of majestic proportions. She was reputed the most beautiful of women. She was valiant and courageous and ardent with a brave heart, and had ambitions to execute nobler actions than had been performed by any other ruler, Queen Califia.
This document helped to start the Spanish hunt for gold in North America. In 1536, when the explorer Hernán Cortés landed with his crew in what is known today as Baja California, they believed that they had arrived in Califia's land.
Chapter 8. Missions in California.
Priests of the Franciscan order together with soldiers and colonists were sent north from Mexico to establish a chain of the missions in California. Baja California means Lower California in Spanish to distinguish it from Alta California or Upper California, which was once part of Mexico. But after the Mexican-American War in 1848 became part of the United States and became the state of California in 1850. The Dominican priests established a chain of missions in Baja California, in a fashion similar to the chain of Franciscan missions to the north in Alta California. In 1804 the Spanish colony of California was divided into Alta, Upper, and Baja, Lower, California at the line separating the Franciscan missions in the north from the Dominican missions in the south.
After the Mexican War, 1846 to 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1850 gave California proper to the United States and assigned Lower California, that is, the Baja Peninsula, to Mexico.
There were missions that were spaced roughly a day's march apart, or about 30 miles, and ran from San Diego in the south to Sonoma and San Rafael in the north, just beyond San Francisco. The road connecting the missions was known as El Camino Real or the Royal Road. Today the route of El Camino Real is commemorated by these signs and replicas of mission bells.
Mission San Diego de Alcala, established in 1769, was the southernmost mission in Alta or Upper California. Mission San Gabriel was the first mission established in the Los Angeles area.
This is Father Junipero Serra who established the chain of missions in Alta California. After 1821 Mexico gained its independence from Spain. This is a map of the Mexican Empire. For the next 25 years, Alta California remained a remote northern province of Mexico. Cattle ranches, or rancheros, emerged as the dominant institutions of Mexican California.
After Mexican independence from Spain, the chain of missions became the property of the Mexican government and was secularized by 1832.
The ranchos developed under ownership by California's Spanish-speaking Californians who had received land grants and traded cowides and tallow with Boston merchants. Beginning in the 1820s, trappers and settlers from the United States and Canada began to arrive in Northern California.
These new arrivals used the Siskiyou Trail, California Trail, Oregon Trail, and the Old Spanish Trail to cross the rugged mountains and harsh deserts. Chapter 9. Russia in California. In this period, Imperial Russia explored the California coast and established a trading post at Fort Ross controlled by the Russian-American Company to supply the Russian settlements in Alaska. Fort Ross is located on the California coast, some 2,000 miles south of the Russian settlement in Alaska at New Archangel, now called Sitka. The Russian-American Company was a commercial hunting and trading company chartered by the Tsarist government, with shares held by the members of the Tsar's family, court nobility, and high officials. Alexander Baranov directed his chief deputy, Ivan Alexandrovich Kuskov, to establish a colony in California as a food source for Alaska and to hunt profitable sea otters. After several reconnaissance missions, Kuskov arrived at Ross in March of 1812 with a party of 25 Russians, many of them craftsmen, and 80 native Alaskans from Kodiak and the Aleutian Islands.
The stockade at Fort Ross was completed 5 months after the initial landing, in August of 1812.
The Russian Orthodox Chapel was added about 1824.
By 1839 officials of the Russian-American Company had decided to abandon the colony. The California sea otter population had been largely depleted by the mid-1830s, and the Russian shift of emphasis from hunting to farming and stock raising to produce large quantities of grain, beef, and dairy products, did not match expectations. Moreover, the experiment in shipbuilding, while impressive in the short run, proved effective over time, and trade in manufactured goods did not return enough profit to offset deficits. At the same time, the Mexican government encouraged new settlers to go into the area. There was also a growing influx of Americans. This posed a challenge to Russian claims over territory.
Neither the imperial government in distant St. Petersburg nor the Russian-American Company was willing or able to meet this challenge. Alexander Gavrilovich Rochev was the last manager of the Ross settlement and served from 1838 to 1841. Rochev was charged with selling the colony and its assets.
Rochev first approached the Hudson's Bay Company regarding the purchase, but the British turned down the offer in 1840. He then made overtures to France through the French military attaché in Mexico City. But he declined to put forth a bid because he lacked authority in such matters. Rochev then offered the outpost to Mexico, but it rejected the Russian terms, partly because it already considered Fort Ross as legally its own, and possibly because it hoped that the Russians would simply abandon the outpost.
Rochev then approached Captain Suber at his ranch in the Sacramento Valley, and in late 1841 Suber agreed to buy the Russian-American Company's assets.
These assets included all the buildings, livestock, and implements, but not the land itself, which was still claimed by Mexico. The sale price was $30,000.
On January 1, 1842, the flag of the Russian-American Company was lowered at Fort Ross, and Rochev and about 100 colonists sailed from Bodega Bay on the last Russian ship bound for Sitka. After 30 years, the Russian epoch in the history of California had come to a close. Chapter 10. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo.
In 1821, Mexico gained its independence from Spain. This is a map of the Mexican empire. Note that it included the present-day southwestern portion of the U.S.
For the next 25 years, Alta California, or Upper California, remained a remote northern province of Mexico. For the 38 years between 1810, when Mexico declared its independence from Spain, and 1848, the region had formed approximately one-third of the country of Mexico. Before that, it had been a part of the Spanish colony of New Spain for some 3 centuries.
Beginning in the early 17th century, a chain of Spanish missions and settlements extended into the New Mexico region, mostly following the course of the Rio Grande River from the El Paso area to Santa Fe, which was a colonial capital under the Spanish, and which is now the capital city of the U.S. state of New Mexico. Spanish settlement and missionary work followed the course of the Colorado River, northward from its mouth, along the current border between California and Arizona. Beginning in the late 18th century, Spain had also built a system of fortresses and missions throughout Alta California, now the southern half of the U.S. state of California, from San Diego to San Francisco. The annexation of Texas by the United States created a border dispute that caused the Mexican-American War. This war resulted in a Mexican defeat. This is Campo de Cahuenga in North Hollywood near the Cahuenga Pass, an adobe farmhouse on Rancho Verdugo where the Treaty of Cahuenga was signed between Lieutenant Colonel John C. Fremont and General Andres Pico in 1847. Ending hostilities in California between Mexico and the United States. Following the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848 that ended the war, The region was divided between Mexico and the United States. Alta California was to become the U.S. state of California. In the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo of 1848, Mexico lost one-third of its area to the United States. The Mexican Cession is a historical name for the region of the present-day southwestern United States that was ceded to the U.S. by Mexico in 1848, under the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, following the Mexican-American War.
The cession of this territory from Mexico was a condition for the end of the war, as United States troops occupied Mexico City, and Mexico risked being completely annexed by the U.S.
The United States also paid $15 million, $500 million today, for the land, which was the same it had offered for the land before the war. Under great duress, Mexico accepted the offer. The land ceded by Mexico is 15% of the total area of the current United States territory.
The region includes all of the present-day states of California, Nevada, and Utah, as well as portions of Arizona excluding the region later annexed in the Gadsden Purchase.
Colorado west of the boundary of the former Republic of Texas. New Mexico west of the Rio Grande and excluding the Gadsden Purchase. And Wyoming west of the former Republic of Texas boundary and south of the 42nd parallel. Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, and Utah became U.S. territories, while the lower region of California, Baja California, remained in the possession of Mexico. A few years later, the Gadsden Purchase of 1853 added some territory.
So altogether the region acquired from Mexico included all of the present-day states of California, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. Colorado west of the boundary of the former Republic of Texas. New Mexico west of the Rio Grande. And a small part of Wyoming.
Chapter 11. California Republic. In 1846, settlers rebelled against Mexican rule during the Bear Flag Revolt. Afterward, rebels raised the Bear Flag, featuring a bear, a star, a red stripe, and the words California Republic, at Sonoma. The Republic's first and only president was William B. Ide, whose term lasted 25 days and concluded when California was occupied by U.S. forces during the Mexican-American War.
In establishing the Republic of California, William B. Ide proclaimed, "We overthrow a government which has seized upon the property of the missions for its individual aggrandizement, which had ruined and shamefully oppressed the laboring people of California." William Ide. Declaration from the Bear Flag Revolt.
On June 23, 1846, John C. Fremont arrived with his force of 60 soldiers and took over command of the combined forces.
The California Republic was short-lived. The same year marked the outbreak of the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848.
When Commodore John D. Sloat of the United States Navy sailed into Monterey Bay and began the military occupation of California by the United States. Northern California capitulated in less than a month to the U.S. forces.
After a series of defensive battles in Southern California, including the Siege of Los Angeles, the Battle of Dominguez Rancho, the Battle of San Pascual, the Battle of Rio San Gabriel, and the Battle of La Mesa, the Treaty of Cahuenga was signed by the Californians on January 13, 1847, securing American control in California. The Treaty of Cahuenga ended the fighting of the Mexican-American War in California. The treaty was drafted in English and Spanish by José Antonio Carrillo, and approved by Lieutenant Colonel John C. Fremont and General Andres Pico on January 13, 1847.
This is Campo de Cahuenga in North Hollywood. near the Caonga Pass. It was the adobe farmhouse on the Rancho Verdugo where the Treaty of Caonga was signed between Lieutenant Colonel John C. Fremont and General Andres Pico in 1847, ending hostilities in California between Mexico and the United States.
The subsequent Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo of 1848, ceding California and Texas to the United States, formally ended the Mexican-American War. The original adobe structure was demolished in 1900. The city of Los Angeles provided funds for the purchase of the property in 1923, and a replica farmhouse was built by the city.
Following the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo that ended the war, the region was divided between Mexico and the United States. The Western Territory of Alta California was to become the U.S. state of California, and Arizona, Nevada, Colorado, and Utah became U.S. territories, while the Lowee region of California, Baja California, remained in the possession of Mexico. The Gadsden Purchase, known as Venta de la Mazzilla, or Sale of La Mazzilla in Mexico, is a region of present-day southern Arizona and southwestern New Mexico that was purchased by the U.S. in 1853.
The Gadsden Purchase was the last major territorial acquisition in the contiguous United States, adding an area the size of Scotland. It is named for James Gadsden, the American ambassador to Mexico at the time. The purchase included land south of the Gila River and west of the Rio Grande, and was for the construction of a transcontinental railroad along a southern route that was favored by the southern states.
Chapter 12. Gold. Gold was discovered near Sutter's Mill on the banks of the American River, near Sacramento in January 1848. This map shows the early gold fields of California. This map shows the gold mining regions of California. This is the busy San Francisco harbor in April 1850.
We will next have a short video on the California Gold Rush.
We will next have a short video on the California Gold Rush.
In January 1848, James Marshall, a carpenter working at Sutter's Mill, found a glittery metal within the shallows of the American River that would prove to be history in the making. Although the discovery was meant to be kept a secret, by May the word had gotten out. That summer, gold fever managed to reach across the U.S., into Utah, Oregon, and even as far as Mexico. Soon, nearly 6,000 folks rushed to California with dreams of striking it rich. In the spring of 1849, the gold rush turned into a global epidemic. People flocked to the state. Sea routes were among the most popular, bringing in people over the Isthmus of Panama and Cape Hope. Although longer, the land routes were much more desirable for those who trekked to California from the eastern U.S. Disease took the lives of many whose dreams had sent them on their journey. Other risks on the overland trail included drowning, fatal accidents, dehydration, famine, and heat exhaustion. Life in Gold Rush, California was a harsh one. Their methods were tedious, backbreaking, and ruined the land. The simplest method was called panning. Miners would squat by the side of a stream, fill a flat-bottom pan with dirt and water, and then swirl the pan with the contents for a few minutes. Any gold would settle to the bottom of the pan due to its weight. Miners soon improved upon their simple method by introducing a rocker. This box-like contraption allowed miners to sift through more dirt and hopefully reach their mining goals. The rocker was soon upgraded to the long tone by the end of 1849. This 12-foot-long trough let water and dirt flow through at a much quicker pace and in greater quantities. The California innovation of hydraulicing allowed miners to reach the gold deposits that lay hidden beneath the surface. These more complex and much more destructive methods would stick around in California for nearly 3 decades. Many of these gold-searching folks found they were out of range from government rule and established law. However, miners took matters into their own hands, as they were concerned about securing their claims. They formed districts and chose individuals to keep track of claimed ground, as well as settle disputes. Soon the creation of the Miners' 10 Commandments, written by James Hutchins, was handed out. The list of 10 guidelines turned mining code into simple rules. They revolved around not imposing on someone else's claim, working too hard, drinking, nor stealing. It also listed some punishments should people still choose to disobey. Miners found minor success. Only 1 in 20 miners actually returned home with more than they left with. Those who continued to search for riches were ravaged with loneliness, despair, and frustration. Although many people didn't succeed in finding riches, their role in this brief period of time not only managed to shape California historically, but also economically, politically, environmentally, and culturally.
Chapter 13. California Statehood. On September 9, 1850, as part of the Compromise of 1850, California was admitted to the United States as a free state, one in which slavery was prohibited.
The seat of government for California under Mexican rule was located at Monterey from 1777 until 1835, when Mexican authorities abandoned California, leaving their missions and military forts behind.
In 1849, the Constitutional Convention was first held in Monterey. Among the duties was the task of determining the location of the new state capital.
The first legislative sessions were held in San Jose, 1850 to 1851. Subsequent locations included Vallejo, 1852 to 1853, and nearby Benicia, 1853 to 1854. Although these locations eventually proved to be inadequate as well.
The capital has been located in Sacramento since 1854.
Chapter 14. The Transcontinental Railroad. The expansion of railroads out west to California was a major factor in the increase in the population of the state. The Transcontinental Railroad was completed in 1869 from Omaha to Sacramento. After this rail link was established, hundreds of thousands came west.
The new settlers in California discovered that the land was very well suited to fruit cultivation and agriculture when irrigated during the dry summer months.
Vast expanses of wheat and other cereal crops, vegetable crops, cotton, and nut and fruit trees were grown, including oranges in Southern California. This was the beginning of the prodigious agricultural production in the Central Valley and elsewhere.
Then the Southern Pacific Railroad was built from Sacramento to the then small town of Los Angeles in 1876. The Tehachapi Loop is a 0.73-mile, 1.17 kilometers, long spiral, or helix, on the railroad main line through the Tehachapi Pass, between the San Joaquin Valley and the Mojave Desert in Southern California.
Later, the AT&SF Railroad provided another link from the east to Los Angeles. The railroad connections from the east to Southern California made it easy to transfer film production to this area. During the early 20th century, migration to California accelerated with the completion of major transcontinental highways, like the Lincoln Highway and Route 66.
This is the famous Route 66 from Chicago to Los Angeles. This has been largely superseded by interstate highways I-15 from Los Angeles to Barstow, California, I-40 from Barstow to Oklahoma City, and then I-44 to Chicago.
Chapter 15, and the movies.
Ever since the advent of talking motion pictures in 1927, there has been a migration of Broadway talent to Hollywood, and the development of the movie musicals. Hollywood has served as the production center of the U.S. motion picture industry for many years.
The motion picture industry actually started in the Broadway area in the early 1900s. It was only later on that it migrated way out west to a small place called Hollywood, next to the then little town of Los Angeles. Why did the movie industry move to Hollywood? The answer has to do primarily with geography. In the first decade of the 20th century, New York City and Chicago had a growing number of Nickelodeons, 5 cents plus Melodeon, or music hall. By the latter half of the decade, there were thousands of these nickelodeons displaying one or two reel films that lasted from a few minutes to almost half an hour.
One of the earliest feature motion pictures, The Great Train Robbery, was produced in 1903. It is credited as being the first movie to tell a story.
Movie, The Great Train Robbery, WMV. One of the earliest feature motion pictures, The Great Train Robbery, was produced in 1903. It is credited as being the first movie to tell a story.
The short dramas and comedies came from a large number of production companies.
In 1908, Thomas Edison was concerned that these production companies were making use of his movie inventions, but not paying him royalties.
Edison was determined that this had to stop.
Edison was determined to establish a monopoly to control everything. The production, distribution, exhibition, and pricing of movies, everything.
And so, Edison united the 10 biggest operations as Motion Picture Patents Company, known as the Trust, a monopoly that would control distribution, exhibition, pricing, and everything else.
The General Film Company was incorporated in 1910 to distribute films produced by licensees of the Motion Picture Patents Company.
The Edison films were made in the Black Maria, a tar paper shack studio at the Edison West Orange Laboratory. The roof of the Black Maria lifted up so that sunlight could come into the black interior.
And the whole building revolved on a track so it could follow the sun. Independent distributors and exhibitors formed their own organizations to fight back. Many of these migrated west to the Los Angeles area because it was as far as you could get from New York.
In addition, California was perfect for filmmaking. A great majority of the early movies had been shot indoors to satisfy lighting and temperature requirements.
California had the advantages of non-stop sunshine and a mild climate, which allow for shooting movies outside all year round. Also, there was a wide variety of settings including mountains, deserts, beaches, small villages, and urban areas.
There are very few suitable areas in the country that would have satisfied these requirements.
Chapter 16. Demographics of California.
This shows the rapid population growth of California from less than 1 million in 1900 to almost 40 million today.
From 1965 to the present, the population changed radically and became one of the most diverse in the world. The state is regarded as a world center of technology and engineering businesses, the entertainment and music industries, and as the U.S. center of agricultural production. Almost half of California's students are now Hispanic, and less than 1/3 are white.
A quarter of Californians are foreign-born.
California's population is estimated at 39 million, making it the most populated state and the 13th fastest-growing state. More than 12% of U.S. citizens live in California, and its population is greater than that of all but 34 countries of the world.
California has 8 of the top 50 U.S. cities in terms of population. Los Angeles is the nation's second-largest city with a population of 4 million, followed by San Diego 8th, San Jose 10th, San Francisco 14th, Long Beach 34th, Fresno 36th, Sacramento 37th, and Oakland 44th. Los Angeles County has held the title of the most populous county for decades and is more populous than 42 U.S. states. As of 2007, the gross state product, GSP, is about $3 trillion, the largest in the United States. California is responsible for 13% of the United States gross domestic product, GDP. As of 2013, California's GDP is larger than all but 8 countries in the world.
California is also the home of several significant economic regions, such as Hollywood Entertainment, Southern California Aerospace, the California Central Valley Agriculture, the Silicon Valley and Tech Coast Computers and High-Tech, and wine-producing regions, such as the Napa Valley, Sonoma Valley, and Southern California's Santa Barbara and Paso Robles areas.
In terms of jobs, the 5 largest sectors in California are trade, transportation, and utilities, government, professional and business services, education and health services, and leisure and hospitality.
In terms of output, the 5 largest sectors are financial services, followed by trade, transportation, and utilities, education and health services, government, and manufacturing.
Chapter 17. The principal cities in California.
Los Angeles is one of the world's centers of culture, technology, media, business, and international trade. It is home to renowned institutions covering a broad range of professional and cultural fields, and it is one of the most substantial economic engines of the United States. Los Angeles also leads the world in producing popular entertainment such as motion picture, television, video games, and recorded music, all of which forms the base of its international fame and global status. San Diego is located very close to the border between Mexico and the United States. It hosts miles of beaches and several U.S. military facilities.
San Diego's economy is largely composed of agriculture, biotechnology, biosciences, computer sciences, electronics manufacturing, defense-related manufacturing, financial and business services, ship repair and construction, software development, telecommunications, and tourism. San Jose is located at the southern end of the San Francisco Bay Area. San Jose is located in Santa Clara County, nicknamed Silicon Valley. Thousands of high-technology companies are headquartered either in or near Silicon Valley, such as eBay, Apple, Intel, and Hewlett-Packard, among many others. Besides being the 3rd largest city in California, it is the 10th largest in the United States.
San Francisco is a popular international tourist destination renowned for its steep rolling hills, eclectic mix of Victorian and modern architecture, and famous landmarks, including the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island, the cable cars, Coit-de-Vie, and Chinatown.
San Francisco is also known for its diverse, cosmopolitan population, including large and long-established Asian American and LGBT communities.
The Port of Long Beach is one of the world's largest shipping ports. The city also has a large oil industry. Oil is found both underground and offshore. Manufacturers include aircraft, automobile parts, electronic and audio-visual equipment, and home furnishings. Long Beach is also home to the headquarters for corporations such as Epson America, Molina Healthcare, and Scan Healthcare. Long Beach has grown with the development of high technology and aerospace industries in the area.
Fresno is the leading agricultural area in the United States and the largest inland city in California. Sacramento is the capital of the state of California and the county seat of Sacramento County. The Sacramento metropolitan area is the largest in the Central Valley and is the fourth largest in California, behind the Greater Los Angeles area, the San Francisco Bay Area, and the San Diego area. Greater Sacramento has been cited as one of the 5 most livable regions in America.
Oakland is a major West Coast port and is home to several major corporations including Kaiser Permanente and Clorox, as well as corporate headquarters for nationwide businesses.
Oakland and Long Beach, California are the most ethnically diverse cities in the United States, with over 150 languages spoken in Oakland. Santa Ana is the county seat of Orange County and is home to the largest percentage of Hispanics of any Mesoamerican city.
Anaheim in suburban Orange County is most noted for being the home of Disneyland.
Chapter 18. California Scenes.
This is Lassen Peak Volcano in Lassen Volcanic National Park.
This is Mount Shasta.
This is Lake Shasta. These are the Sierra Nevada mountains. This is the beautiful Lake Tahoe straddling California and Nevada. This is Redwood National Park.
This is the Maui Woods National Monument.
This is the famous Napa Valley wine region.
This is the Sacramento Delta.
This is Yosemite National Park.
This is Kings Canyon National Park. This is Sequoia National Park. This is the Golden Gate Bridge.
Here is San Francisco.
This is the famous 17-mile drive around Monterey.
This is the 7-mile drive around Carmel.
This is Highway 1 on the Big Sur coast.
This is the Hearst Castle on the coast near Big Sur.
This is a view of the great agricultural region of the San Joaquin Valley.
This is California coast at Malibu, just north of Santa Monica and Los Angeles.
This is Santa Barbara. This is the desolate and very hot Death Valley. This is the Mojave Desert in San Bernardino County between Los Angeles and Las Vegas.
This is Joshua Tree National Park. Some scenes of Los Angeles.
Hollywood is not an independent city, but rather a district of the city of Los Angeles.
Universal Studios is in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles. Disneyland is in Anaheim in Orange County.
The Salton Sea is down in Imperial County. La Jolla, called the Jewel of the Pacific, is an upscale suburb north of San Diego. This is a view of San Diego. The San Diego Zoo is a major tourist attraction in San Diego. This is the Cabrillo National Monument at Point Loma on Mission Bay, with downtown San Diego in the distance.
Chapter 19. Recommended Videos, California.
Recommended video: The History of California, Economy, Geography and Government.
Recommended video: California 50 States, U.S. Geography.
Recommended video: California's vast regional differences explained.
Recommended video: San Francisco Top 10 Travel Attractions, California Travel Guide.
Recommended video: Los Angeles Top 10 Attractions, California Travel Guide. Table of Contents, California.
Thanks for watching.